The use of artificial intelligence in the legal profession. I'm sure when you had started, it was all about books, libraries, pen and paper. But now ChatGPT is there to answer every question. How do you see this phenomenon of AI and its use in legal profession?
So, as far as AI is concerned, if it is given a limited use, it is definitely something which will accelerate the way in which research is done or drafting is done in the legal profession. I remember my days when I started in the profession. We didn't even have computers. We didn't even have softwares to do our research. So we used to go to the textbook, and I remember we used to have that SCC, the digest, and from the digest we used to see these subjects, or go to the textbook, and then in the textbook you go to the particular section and see what are the judgments on a particular subject, and which High Court or which Supreme Court judgment. There used to be that AIR manual which used to see on every statute. There used to be an AIR manual which used to tell us what judgments are there on every subject. But all that has now changed. I don't think anybody even looks at the AIR manual or the Supreme Court digest. In fact, my office, if I'm not mistaken, has stopped even subscribing to that, because we are all dependent on the software that have come in for the purposes of doing our research. But the sad part is, and I think that's something which all of us need to introspect, that ChatGPT has started taking over even things like drafting. Now, if a young junior who comes into this profession and doesn't apply his mind for a drafting, because that's the basic of this profession. If he doesn't apply his own mind for drafting, and if he is given a draft from ChatGPT, and if he starts using that draft, then just imagine what will happen to his brain. Ultimately, what is Alzheimer or what is dementia? Alzheimer and dementia are things which happen after your 50s and 60s, because your brain is not so active as active it used to be in its young age. And you are doing less and less activities of the brain, and the brain, because of the inactivity, gets into problems like dementia. If the children of today are dependent on ChatGPT for their basics like drafting, then probably dementia will start setting in them from the age 30, 35, 40 onwards, and that's something very disturbing. So ChatGPT utilization to correct what you have done or to improve on what your brain has done could be a good way of trying to strive towards perfection. But depending on ChatGPT to do your drafting, I think is going to do more damage than good. And in the process, and this is also a very important point, every draft has some unique features. A ChatGPT can never pick up the minutest and the unique features of every individual case. And I always say that if you come in this profession, to be in this profession or succeed in this profession, and when I say succeed, I don't mean in terms of money, succeed in terms of doing satisfying work. You should actually feel the pain of the client. And every client who comes to you has a very unique pain or very unique problem. And to give that unique problem a legal shape is the art of a lawyer. And that legal shape you are able to give by virtue of your academic learning of what are the legal principles on which relief can be granted to that lawyer. But before you get into that, you have to understand his fact in the minutest of detail. I remember in my practice in Supreme Court, I used to see drafts coming from the High Court, and this happens almost every day or every alternate day. When I discuss with the client, or rather used to discuss with the client, because now I don't deal with clients directly, now only I deal with the junior around. I used to discuss with the client and discuss the facts with the client. There are many facts which are not pleaded in the petition before the lower courts, and that becomes a limitation in the highest court. So to be able to grasp the complete facts of the problem of the client, put it into a legal in a document which will be his petition to get him relief, is actually a lot of brain work involved. And I don't think any ChatGPT can substitute this element of your heart getting into the problem of your client and understanding his pain to try and give it legal shape. So that is where I think over dependence can do more harm than good. to this profession.
Sir, but the alternate perspective is, and to be the devil's advocate here, is that this is an old-fashioned view. AI is making inroads in every profession across the world, including media, medicine, and everywhere. So, is it an old-world perspective that you should remain immune to its influence? Where does one really draw the line?
No, so I don't say you should be immune to this, this advancement of technology. But this technology should be used to supplement, is what I feel is the right way forward, rather than using it to stop using your own brain and depending on the brain of the ChatGPT for doing your work. So that's where you will go completely wrong. And I can tell you one thing, especially in our profession, I don't see ever an AI being able to take over the job of a lawyer, because the kind of legal nuances that are involved in every case, and every case is unique. It is impossible for ChatGPT to replicate that. If that starts happening, the day that starts happening, probably we will also be replaced. Somebody else will be going to court instead of us. A robot will be going to court. But I don't see that happening as of now. Maybe at some day, if that happens, then we'll have to think of some other planet to go and probably live.